Well, since we're good, go, 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 because we're going.
Are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Damn, it's been 14 days.
Yes, it has. I hope everyone did okay without us.
I bet they did. We
I saw a few edgy people out there. I don't know if it was because
Thanksgiving brings out the worst in people.
It really does. You had a picture of Tom Drill on your.
I did. I actually saw him last night.
I should describe to the listening audience. Tom Drill is a tireless man of boundless energy.
I think his energy's been capped a little bit. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Well, I mean, it's bound to happen. He's been around forever.
Well, apparently he just had like hip surgery or something, so it slowed him down a little bit. But he was there.
That'll slow you down. He
was a trooper.
Down. He was. Wow. He was being Sandy Claus, correct?
Yes. You once said about him years ago that he's the only guy who can actually. He'll make a to-do list for the next day, and he'll actually complete it, by 9 a.m.
And then the rest of the day is kind of a slog.
Yeah.
I've never been like that.
No.
What was it? Well, we should describe to most people listening don't know who Tom Drill is. They should look him up. I think if you
most of them probably don't care either.
No, they don't, but I'm going to make them care. So he actually my knowledge of Tom Drill started with
he's a Manitowoc legend.
He's a legend in Manitowoc, exactly. And if you Google Manitowoc Tom Drill, I guarantee you're going to find all sorts of little blips, blurbs, and articles because people talk about him.
He's got his own Facebook page that like 1,400 people like.
He's beating the pants off of us.
Yes, he is, and my Schlockmeister's.
Well, there we go. But actually, I knew him because he used to work at the Mid-Cities Mall in Manitowoc at a store called Lord's, which was a men's clothing store.
I don't recall
Lord's. No, you would have no reason to. I did because my dad was like in sales, so so he had to like look nice. So I'd get.
I remember Woolworths and
sure, it was actually
JCPenney,
and Lord's was exactly across the street from across the way.
It was probably one of those boring stores that my 6-year-old self wants nothing part of.
You would have no reason to have gone in there. I went in there only because my dad was hanging around in there, and I was waiting for him to get out so I could go play arcade games at the Wooden Nickel.
The Wooden Nickel, of course.
So yes, but
I think I still have a token from the Wooden Nickel.
I believe I do as well, although it may now be no more.
What was the one at the Brangway Mall across the street?
It's Aladdin's Castle.
Aladdin's Castle.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that mall's got some issues too. All malls have issues.
Well, the Mid-Cities Mall is now gone.
That's just flat out gone.
Been raised.
Yeah. What's in its place?
Well, you know what? Nothing. It's an empty lot. But the Mid-Cities Mall was raised like about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. But
sounds about right.
Prior to that, the parking lot had been. Nobody was maintaining anything, so there was like branches and things growing in the parking lot. There was actually a tree growing on the roof.
Nice.
Of Mid-Cities Mall. A tree.
I'm sure
a small tree, but a tree nonetheless.
I belong to a
how does that happen?
Facebook group called Dead Malls Enthusiasts. It's about people who are just like big fans of dead malls because there's so many, and it's an interesting thing to. A lot of them will gain access to these dead malls, like Northridge. Someone recently put up, I believe,
is Northridge still standing?
It is still standing. Someone, I think from the Shepherd Express, I want to say, or something like that, just did a extensive video tour, like a 30-minute tour of the whole place, and it's alternately fascinating.
Are the marquees still there, like Suncoast Video?
No, some storefronts are, it's shattered glass everywhere. It really looks like Dawn of the Dead. I mean, it's clearly a lot of.
It's not the best neighborhood.
Yeah, well, that's kind of why Northridge is in the state that it wound up in. But it is still standing. It's owned currently by Chinese investors, and they refuse to do anything with it. They actually, like the city is. Milwaukee is currently threatening, I think, lawsuits to make them do something finally with it, either raise it or but they're just like, nope.
I've got.
We don't have to.
I've got extensive camcorder footage of the Mid-Cities Mall when you and I used to wander those.
I remember.
There we would encounter. There was nobody in there practically except the walkers. People would go there to walk.
It was pretty dead at that point, yeah.
But remember the long hallway where you'd look up and there was white lights.
Yeah,
and
where used to call it the bathroom was back the Death Star trench.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good old Mid-Cities Mall. I don't know. And now Bayshore's on the chopping block. They're having problems there.
Bayshore?
Yeah. Well, almost all the storefronts are gone, and they're going to raise the midsection where they had that iPic theater.
I've been to the iPic once or twice.
I'd never gone, but
it's nothing special.
Well, now it definitely won't be now. But I don't know, the wisdom of opening up an outdoor open air mall.
It's very cold
in Wisconsin.
I work over there, so
okay.
I've been there a couple times, like to lunch, and you have to wander. It's cold.
Yeah.
Not that it bothers me none, but
no, you're probably in shorts and a t-shirt.
I am as you speak.
Even at work.
Mm-hmm. No.
Oh, okay, very good.
If I could get away with it.
Well, I suppose we should start this show proper, and thanks for tuning in again, everybody. Always nice to. We're doing well. You know that we're doing well in the grand, in the grand scheme of CPL radio. We're doing well nationally, maybe not so much, but we're doing. We currently have the number 2 show.
Woohoo!
Yep. Of all of our shows. So let's see if we can make a number 1. Be brilliant over there, will you?
What's the gap between 1 and 2?
Well, I just started a new podcast service, so it's small because we're just rebuilding our audience right now.
All right, then we can take it.
I think so. I feel very confident. So
you know what? Yeah, we'll talk later.
Yeah, we'll talk later. All right, here's the show. Front Row Center back on the air on CPL Radio. This is the premiere. It's not the premiere, but it is. We call it the premiere movie review show on CPL Radio until somebody else starts doing one. Then they can. If somebody wants to come in here and if they want to open up the can of I don't want to say any bad words, so I'll say whip butt on us. Feel free to come and do a better job than we. But I don't think you will because we've been at this for a long time.
Yeah,
5 weeks.
We'll take them down.
But friendly competition is good. I'm Jeff. He's Bert. I can be found at the Cedarburg Public Library all the time doing library-type things, and he can be found
at the Cedarburg Public Library once a week.
Sunday mornings. Sunday mornings, because this would not be your home library.
No.
Do you even
actually?
As a Belgiumese, do you have?
No.
You don't have a library. I don't know where you would go.
We got a McDonald's.
Do they have McBooks?
I don't think they have anything.
Okay. Well, that's
they usually get your McOrders McWrong.
Oh, why do you go there? Yeah. It's just not a good thing. Anyway, we talk about movies here, and we see movies, and I suppose right away off the bat we should discuss a programming change, which is minor, but it is. I guess it's minor but distinct in that. Called Bert up on I think Thursday, which is rare that I actually call you.
Fear change.
We'll get you through this hump. Don't worry. I know you fear change. I see you shaking in your shoes over there. So it occurred to me, and I had a couple conversations with people who are just like, I dig your show. They didn't exactly say it like that, but I dig your show. But by the time you discuss theatrical movies, they've already been, because people who do proper reviews of these things, they actually have like a review embargo, and they open it up usually a week or more before the film actually starts. We don't have that kind of access yet.
No, we don't do proper reviews,
so we don't really. Well, I don't know about the proper thing either, I guess, but. Yeah, it just seems like by the time it's old news. In fact, we're going to talk about an old news movie today in Knives Out from Rian Johnson, and but that thing's been out for like 8 days, 12 days. I mean, it's been out for some time.
There is an alternative. We could review movies that haven't been released yet, and just wing it.
Lie.
Yes,
I like that. All right. We can even talk about them like, yes, Knives Out is a documentary about the cutlery business and kitchen knives, and we could just lie. We just come out and why
don't we get the first Star Wars review out this week? We'll just do it.
That would be actually really funny because people would be really mad at us, and then
they would.
Disney would be scratching their head, and we could drop all these quote unquote spoilers that aren't real.
We'll be completely wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Just say we got some bootleg DVD we found online, or
Kylo Ren was in a dress.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't a single blaster fired for the whole film. It was amazing. It was more of an existential.
We
drama.
know who Rey's parents are,
and we do absolutely.
Yes. Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, absolutely. That would just melt everyone's face. So I thought maybe as an alternative, and we'll try this for a while anyway, we would stick from this day forward anyway, to the streaming content, and we could actually even chip away at a few episodes of series if we wanted to do that, and we could do that. I'm shocked by the sheer volume of original content that shows up on Prime and Netflix, especially Netflix. I did a quick scan for the month of December, and there are, I believe, 14 original movies on Netflix this month, most of which you'll never hear of, and you may come across on like maybe a little commercial on Netflix itself. And
well,
say,
that's
hey,
where we come in.
Yeah, we're right, exactly. So I thought we'd be actually doing a service here by pre-watching this stuff, and I have a feeling if we go this route, there's more opportunity for us to disagree on stuff because there's such a vast array of difference. Because I will say almost all the theatrical movies we've seen so far.
I'm dying to disagree
really
with
good.
you.
I know. I want to tear into your throat so bad it hurts, but it just hasn't happened because the reason being is that we're just mildly discerning, quasi-intelligent Americans, and therefore, if a movie's good, we're going to call it as such, and we've just either been very fortunate or whatever. But every theatrical movie we've seen so far has been fantastic. By and large, very good.
I somehow get the feeling we're going to be in agreement today, too.
I have a feeling that might be the case. It's going to be a really dry episode of Front Row Center because you're just going to hear us skipping through the woods hand in hand, loving everything. What can you do? All right. So we got that out of the way. So from this point forward, if you're listening to Front Row Center, maybe we need a name change because, again, Front Row Center is not really anything that you do at home.
Well, is your couch in front of your TV, roughly?
Yeah,
it's
It's kind of front row center.
Okay, perfect. We're good.
All right, fine. We'll stick with front row center.
So's mine.
If anybody has a better idea for a title, though, we're always open to possibilities. And if you send one in and we're just like, oh my god, that's brilliant, we'll change it. So you have some work ahead of you, listeners. You want to find us a better title, a more apt title. Well, our ears are open, and we had a little interaction. You want to do this first before we get to our proper reviews? We have about 9 minutes before the next commercial break. I thought maybe we could discuss the question I posed about a week and some change ago.
Well, hold on. I have one question for you first.
Please. Yeah, of course.
It's been 14 days since we did this last, and obviously we're reviewing two movies today, The Irishman and Knives Out.
All true.
But beyond that homework that you did, in these 14 days, what, if anything, have you watched?
I have watched a fair amount of stuff, but it's really kind of, again, it's nothing new. It's just old favorites, so I don't know if that counts.
Fine. Absolutely,
okay, it does
fine.
count. All right. I mean, I can off the top of my head, what did I watch? I watched a James Cagney film called Yankee Doodle Dandy, which is on my movie list that I had to get, and I remember actually really enjoying when I was younger. It was weird that I kind of obsessed over this movie. For a small window of time, for like a week and a half or 2 weeks back in like sophomore year in high school. I saw it on channel 10 or 36.
I do remember that movie on your list.
Yeah, and it was really entertaining. And like it's by and large a musical, although it's a biography film about George M. Cohan, who was a song and dance man. And so all the songs got stuck in my head. You know how weird it is walking around your high school singing these like turn of the century songs in your head that nobody else would have any clue about.
No, I totally get it. I'm a song and dance man myself.
You have been for some time, yes. Frequently without pants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else? What else? Keeping up with the Jack Ryan TV show. So I finished up the first season of that on Amazon, and it was by and large enjoyable. What else did I watch? Jeez.
I've got a list, so just
I should make a list. I mean, I really should defer to you, but I would say beyond that, I watched Svengoolie last night, which was something like a Valley of the Dinosaurs. It was one I'd never seen before, actually, which is a schlocky kind of monster film from the 60s. It was enjoyable. What else did I watch this week? A little bit of Lost in Space, the new one on Netflix, which I've been enjoying quite a bit, which is really well done. Shockingly, that show has no reason to be that good. There's no reason that the new Lost in Space... It's really good because I wanted to get ready. The new season's coming out.
So is it just like the old one? Danger, danger.
There's a little of that, and there's a little camp value, but at the same time, it's actually... I can't believe the amount of money they must be spending on that show. The effects are remarkable. I mean, it's as good as anything I would have seen in the theater. So Parker Posey plays the Dr. Smith type character, and she plays him really well. She plays him, excuse me. She plays her. I mean, there's a whole... I won't get into it. If those who are watching this know what I'm talking about. It's a very complex... Dr. Smith is more of an idea than a person, let's put it that way, so we'll go from there. What else? I watched a Chinese film called spring in a small town that was okay. Yeah, that's about it. I watched some old cartoons. I watched a Bosco. Bosco is an old Warner Brothers cartoon character that's kind of rare. I found a DVD of that in the library
Isn't that
system.
some sort of chocolate drink?
Bosco?
Yeah,
it might be. I'll have to look while you're reading your list. So you with a list is probably far more interesting because you kept records. I did not.
Well, over the last 14 days, I have watched 34 movies. Let's rattle them off quickly here. We don't have time to discuss them.
No.
Anna and the Apocalypse.
Oh, how was that? I know we're not discussing them. Okay, I was just curious.
Lyle Alzado in Destroyer from the 80s.
Sure.
Anthony Perkins was in Edge of Sanity, where he played Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and Jack the Ripper.
I always wanted to see that. It looked good.
It is good. Yeah. In honor of Thanksgiving, I watched a Thanksgiving horror movie called Blood Rage. It actually takes place during Thanksgiving. You might remember that movie as Nightmare in Shadow Woods.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Years ago.
Louise Lasser.
Yes, Louise Lasser. Let's see. I watched something called, this is Hallmark, Christmas Wishes and Mistletoe Kisses. Followed on the same day by an old cable softcore movie called Wild and Beautiful on Ibiza.
Now that's a double feature.
Yes. On, let's see, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, I watched something called Emmanuel and Joanna.
Together again.
Yes, and I also watched the pilot episode of The Incredible Hulk. I finished watching the Brady Bunch season 1, and I'm working on The Incredible Hulk season 1.
Very nice.
So, and then on Thanksgiving Day, I watched Paradise Lost 3, the documentary about the West Memphis 3.
Right. I didn't know they made a third one.
That is the third one.
I know. I didn't know they made a.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They get out.
I knew that. I mean, were they just kind of checking in or something?
Yeah,
or?
they had started it. They actually were going to release it prior to them getting out, and all of a sudden things started rolling. I was like, holy cow, we got to hold this off
better get
for
to
a few
work.
months. Yep. So it does document them getting out. I also watched Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. On Black Friday, I watched.
Nice.
Yes.
I watched Phantom Menace a few weeks ago. Because,
I intend to watch that soon also.
Absolutely.
Black Friday was a big day. Return of the Jedi, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Ghostbusters, and the aforementioned Knives Out.
Man, why so many blockbusters on that day?
I have this list of movies I want to watch once a year or every 2 years, every 3 years. And
sure.
I'm knocking off a bunch of them because I had them there. So
It was getting late in the year.
Yep. Which leads me to Saturday, where I had a couple more as well. We had A Christmas Story, Grease.
A little early for that, isn't it?
A little bit, but not much. But
It's December, all right.
and then the greatest Disney cartoon ever made, Coco.
So you said.
Yep. And then I watched a crappy movie called Get Santa. Don't watch that one.
Public service. We're here for you.
Yeah. December 1st caught me with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
All right.
And the 2008 movie Rambo, which I had not seen yet.
Oh, I've not seen that one. Was it entertaining?
It was a Rambo movie.
He made another one recently.
He did. And that one's
actually,
coming out on DVD, I think, later this month. But
it was or was there anything between the 2008?
No.
Okay, so that you're up to date.
this was
basically.
number 4, yeah. And it was everything you would want from a Rambo movie. If you liked Rambo, you're going to like this too.
I suspect the next one will be as well.
It was like I was back in the 80s.
He's kind of he's kind of old. You know what's interesting? I saw the other day that did you know that
I think he's 70 or 72.
which actually, all right, that's not considering the Irishman we just watched.
But considering what he's doing in these movies,
right? Did you know that Stallone saved the turtles from the original Rocky? I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I did know that.
Did you see that? It was.
I didn't see it, but I remember reading about
they're
it.
still alive.
Yeah,
and
Adrian's dead, but the turtles live on.
Right. I think if he does another Rocky, he has to highlight the turtles extremely. So, all right, how are we doing?
Almost
here?
done. Almost done.
Oh, give me more. Yeah, that's actually. I'll take us to the break. Then.
I
That's
watched
fine.
The Beast, otherwise known as Equinox.
I haven't seen that in years. I'm dying to watch that again. I don't own it.
I got it from you originally.
Yeah,
back in the
yeah.
day.
Did you? And how did you watch it this time?
I have there's a Criterion DVD that I have.
Okay, all right. I was
Not on
wondering.
Blu-ray, by the way.
No.
It's DVD. So then I watched something called Enchanted Christmas, which was a Hallmark, and then I watched something called Romeo and Julia, which is everything you think it's not.
Sounds like it might be a little naughty.
Yeah. I watched something called The Souvenir, which has fantastic reviews. It's like a 94 Metascore. I think it's Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah.
Boring as hell.
Oh.
Stay away. Then I watched something called The Christmas Parade, Hallmark. Then I watched Apprentice to Murder with Donald Sutherland, 80s movie.
I actually saw that.
Yeah, it's not that great either. Widows, which came out earlier this year, I think. It's got some Oscar buzz to it.
Yeah.
I watched Demon Seed, horror movie from the 70s.
Okay.
Hostage for a Day, John Candy's only directorial movie. right before he died, actually. And then yesterday, I watched 3 movies. I watched Bad Dreams, an old horror movie from the 80s.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I watched
Jennifer Rubin.
Jennifer Rubin, yes. And Dean Cameron, who was in Summer School, and Bruce Abbott from Reanimator. I also watched Marriage Story, which we might discuss next week.
Dying to see that. That looks so good.
I ain't going to say a word, but
I know,
because we might talk about that very soon. And then, of course, yesterday I watched The Irishman.
Did you see Marriage Story in the theater?
No, and I saw it on Amazon yesterday. Premiered on Friday on Amazon.
I knew it was coming.
Or is it Netflix.
Okay, I knew
it's
it.
one of the two.
I will take care of that as soon as possible. I'm absolutely the guy who made that's a guy named Noah Baumbach, and he makes movies that'll make you squirm. And I know you're not going to say anything about
I'm not going to say anything,
but he did a film with Ben Stiller where he winds up living in some guy's house, and I can't remember the name. He did also Kicking and Screaming was one of his first movies. He did a film called The Squid and the Whale with Jeff Daniels, which is actually really good. It's another divorce story.
I think I watched that recently.
Oh, damn, that one's hard to watch. I mean, it's just...
Or my wife did. I may watch it with her. I can't remember.
So this Souvenir movie...
I did watch it. I did watch Squid and the Whale.
Okay. 90% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, yet you're a dissenter.
For which one?
The Souvenir.
Oh Christ! Is it boring? If you read the comments about that real people leave, they'll say, "I don't understand why this was rated so high. It's slow. It's dull." Yeah,
The website's Rotten Tomatoes consensus is made by a filmmaker in command of her craft and a star perfectly matched with the material. A Souvenir is a uniquely impactful coming-of-age drama.
Oh Christ! Is it dull?
Achingly well observed in its study of a young artist inspired, derailed, and finally strengthened by a toxic relationship. It is a story. So none of this is.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at.
Was any of it? I mean, was
the Metascore is 92, which is off the charts. Great.
Yeah.
But the people give it a 6.5. Now that's a big gap between what the people say and what the critics.
That's always the case.
When I see IMDb often is very close to each other, but the Souvenir is way off with good reason. It's dull. I do not want to watch it again.
Let's see what's the running time.
It's long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Nope,
210.
No, 119 minutes according to.
It seems like 3 hours.
It's a BBC film production, and interesting.
Yeah, I say avoid it all. Or you know what? Watch it. We can dissent maybe.
I should.
Oh.
Julia, she's a young woman attending film school, correct? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Venice? They're in Venice?
Were they in Venice? I don't know.
You weren't paying attention. I'm trying to catch you.
I tried real hard. This movie. Oh.
Did you have your phone out? Did you start scrolling?
I'm sure my phone was out, but
put that away during movies.
I often keep it on just as I want to say, oh, who's that? Who's that? What have we seen her in? What have we seen him in? That sort of thing. But this movie was a drag.
You're just a teenager with your phone.
Oh, it was a drag.
All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Knives Out. A movie that is by a guy who made a little Star Wars movie a couple years ago. We'll be back. We're back here to talk about the newest film from Rian Johnson, licking his wounds from all that Last Jedi descent.
Only from the fanboys.
I imagine so. Critically, I think if you look at it, Last Jedi,
best.
it might be the highest rated of all the Star Wars movies. So, oh well, what can you do? It's life changing, I guess, when you make a Star Wars movie. And he decided to kind of go back to his roots. And Bert's going to tell you all about what this movie entails.
All right. Well, Knives Out. It's basically a whodunit movie, and we have this wealthy family. I can't remember what their last name.
Thrombey.
There you go, Thrombey's. Yes. And who was the patriarch there?
Christopher Plummer. Yeah.
Christopher Plummer played Harlan Thrombey, and they're celebrating his 85th birthday. Was it his 80th? I don't know.
I don't remember. Yeah.
It was 80 something. I think it was his 85th birthday, and later that night he ends up dead. And it looks like it's a suicide. That's what everybody thinks happened because he's got a knife at his throat. And he's
careful now. Spoiler territory is tough with this one.
Let's just say things may not be quite as they seem, even though you think you know what's going on. Right. Which is the rest of the film is basically Daniel Craig comes in. He's an investigator.
Benoit Blanc.
Yeah, he's got an interesting Southern drawl, Louisiana drawl. I don't know, but
It's hard to pinpoint.
yeah, I think it was a unique voice inflection there. But
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's there investigating the thing, and everything is kind of pointing towards this maid who kind of saw him in his last moments.
Yeah, maid, I guess, healthcare provider. Really, is what, she
maid
is
the wrong word for it, but
Yeah.
yeah, she gave him his medicine and everything, and again, everything it's been ruled a suicide and this and that, but he's investigating because he thinks there might be something more there, and
Not only that, he was actually hired.
Yes, he was hired by one of the family members, and the basically the movie is the family. They're all kind of fighting over his money and his dollars. They're wondering who's going to get what in the will, and
Get that unique house.
yeah, and I don't think there's much more you need to say about that in terms of the plot. It's just he's investigating this death, and the family's fighting over the money, and you think you know from the beginning. It's kind of like, okay, it's a whodunit. You're going into it knowing this is a whodunit film, but they kind of reveal right away what happened. However, like I said, things may not be as they
There's
seem.
always more. And in fact, actually, I have a clip. I've been neglectful in playing my clips. So I have one this week. So we'll listen to a clip from Knives Out, and then we'll talk about it.
Mr. Blanc, I know who you are. I read your profile in The New Yorker. I found it delightful. I just buried my 85-year-old father who committed suicide. Why are you here?
I'm here at the behest of a client.
Who?
I cannot say, but let me assure you this. My presence will be ornamental. You will find me a respectful, quiet, passive observer of the truth.
A passive observer.
Knives Out. Let me tell you something. I felt from the clips and seeing the trailers that I was going to like this movie. I must have been in the mood for a movie like this. You really haven't had a good theatrical whodunit since Kenneth Branagh's remake of The Murder on the Orient Express a couple years ago, which I thought was okay.
I didn't care for that, actually.
It was okay. I didn't love it.
You know, it's interesting because I saw the ads for this movie and I was like, I don't really want to see this. That was my initial impression. It looked like it was trying too hard, but then the reviews were off the charts great, so I was like, oh, got to see it.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw it with a really great audience, I would say. People were just screaming. They were laughing so hard. People were loving every minute of this thing and just drinking it up. And this film, you know why I think it's winning people over? And it's doing very well up against the juggernaut that is Frozen 2. But consistently is coming in number 2 every week, and its business is not dropping off. And I'll tell you why. Because the performers on stage, so to speak,
they were great.
Clearly are having the time of their life. They're having so much fun just being, the Thromby family in general. These are all horrible people. It's just all awful, awful people.
Yeah.
The case, like you said, it's very early that they seem to play their main hand, and you know what's going on. But there is all kinds of extra things going on.
Do we want to tell right away, like what they say happened in the beginning? Like, well, I guess I kind of revealed it. It's
a suicide, but it's kind of like unplanned suicide, if that makes any sense. I guess it's a
very short-term plan.
Yes,
10 minutes earlier, he didn't know what was happening, and then 10 minutes later, he's dead by his own hand.
And he did it in a very, I would say, kind of giving, in a painful way. That wouldn't be my first choice of how to check out, but he does it for a very targeted sort of reason, and everyone's got their motives in this thing and what they're trying to do. The caregiver is
Marta.
Marta, yeah, she. Wonderful performance by this actress too.
Lovely lady
she's
too.
Just great. What's really enjoyable about this film, and I've already seen from all places the National Review, which is an extremely conservative
it is
viewpoint. But
why were you reading the National Review?
Because I like to read all kinds of reviews, and
okay.
so they're on my. But I liked the.
Are they still saying the moon landing was faked?
Their headline for this review is "Knives Out takes on the anti-immigration crowd."
Jesus Christ.
And in a sense, that's kind of the beautiful thing about a movie like this is you can watch it on many levels. And great movies usually are ones that have like all kinds of layers. And I thought that the fact that the horrible Thrombies, the bulk of which were
I would
offer
rather
people-
have that undocumented immigrant than any of those Thrombies. Throw them out of the country.
Right. Well, but did you notice the first threat they liked to use on poor Marta was, "Oh, we know about your mother. We know about your mother." It's just
They don't care. They don't care at all until it affects them.
it really is kind of a wonderful. Yeah, it's a classic Agatha Christie style whodunit, but with an extremely au courant 2019 message, and that is that and you know there's a coffee mug that we see at the beginning and at the end of the movie, and I think there's a message on the coffee mug. If you read, I think it says "My house, my coffee, my rules" or something like that, and that is just. Talk about a great bookend.
Yeah,
and
the last scene, the very last scene
is so satisfying. If you are, again, if you feel a certain way, the only flaws that I could really put towards this movie, I guess, is that there were so many characters that there were ones that I wanted to see explored even a little further, because I liked them even as unlikable as they were. They were just fascinating. Like Michael Shannon, who's an incredible actor.
I was going to say he was the best performance.
Just
I thought
a great actor.
He's got that scruffy beard and. He seems like a pleasant man, but then when you get underneath him, he's like dirty and grimy and
horrendous.
Ooh.
Opens his mouth at all the wrong times. And Don Johnson.
Don Johnson was great.
Just a blast.
That
so
man
much
doesn't age.
No, and he's the one character that I thought we wanted to spend a little more time with was the teenage son who everyone kept labeling a Nazi, who apparently kind of had the most goods on the case itself because he heard stuff. The reason he heard it is twice he's accused of doing something in the bathroom that teenage boys do, and they said he was doing it to like Hitler stuff. I mean, it's like, what in the world? And it's actually played by the kid from It movies, who played Stuttering Bill.
Oh, sure, yep.
And
Jaden Martell is his name.
yeah, and it's like I don't think he had more than like one line of dialogue in the whole thing. I thought, I want to hear from this kid. what in the world? But yeah, Knives Out, which is again, it's been playing across the country and doing really well, and I'm glad. I mean, I the one thing I told my wife when it was over is like, I hope this inspires 200 copycats. I want to see more whodunits like this. I think this is great. This is fun.
I heard another reviewer on the radio mention that when a whodunit is done well, it's fantastic.
Yes.
And that's what this movie was.
It was. It was just really satisfying. And, and another thing, if a whodunit is done well, the facts of the case really ultimately don't matter to you. You're so entertained by the characters and the characterizations. I'm sure there's a million things that don't add up in this particular case, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. Another thing that I would like to see is if Rian Johnson decided to make one more Benoit Blanc movie or turn this into some sort of
could see
franchise,
that.
I would be delighted. He is I love how he's introduced at the beginning, whether being interviewed, he's up by the piano and he's just hitting a key. And at first I thought, is this part of some clue? Is he doing something? No, he's just making his presence known. And that is great. If there's any sleuth that I think he shares the most DNA with, in some ways I think it's Columbo, because of that swampy accent that he's wearing. Everyone,
Benoit.
Everyone, a Louisiana man with a French Cajun name. Everyone underestimates him. Everyone thinks, okay, well, this guy's obviously a lunkhead of some sort, and but he is dangerously patient. He just sits and listens to everything, and then at the end, he rolls up his sleeves and just.
He's Sherlock Holmes. He figures it all out.
Absolutely, but he does it in such a way like Holmes was always a little more. Well, Holmes had like issues. He was like, especially if you watch the new version with Benedict Cumberbatch, he's got like,
which I did.
He's got like Asperger's issues or something, which is probably accurate. Whereas this guy just is patient and quiet, and he just lets everyone. He always gives everyone just enough noose to hang themselves, and that's
for
wonderful.
those people who like action. This movie did have a car chase.
It had a car chase, a very funny car chase. It was what a strange town they lived in. But, I don't know, urban planning or something. I don't know. So if I was to throw out a star review for Knives Out, I absolutely I wrestled. But, I mean, that was kind of a tough one for me, too, between just the half-star area. But I'll stick with 3.5. Not quite 4 because I guess it's a weird criticism. I almost felt like it could have been a little longer, and I would have enjoyed a little more, even more of a deep dive into some of the characters because they're kind of rushed. I mean, you got to cram a lot of information.
Wow, it's a long movie as it is, 130 minutes. So
I would have taken. I was enjoying the characters and the characterization so much. I would happily have taken more.
Well, I'm going to give it a solid 3.
There it
a
is.
solid 3. And
All right.
Ryan Johnson is a good director. He
He's
did
a
Last Jedi.
phenomenal
He did Looper. And, of course, he did this one.
And watch The Brothers Bloom sometime. It's a blast. I like that movie a lot. And Brick. Brick is wonderful. So another mystery, actually, if you're into a Ryan Johnson mystery.
I actually have Brick, and I can't remember if I watched it or not, but it will be watched.
Brick is a blast. So, all right, 3 stars from Bert, 3.5 stars from me. Obviously, a very good movie, and one to you can even take the kids. Although, did you notice? Actually, I have to mention this. There were, I believe, at least 3 F-bombs in this movie. Not that I was counting, but I thought that and it's a PG-13 film, and I had always been told that the MPAA, you can only squeeze in one.
Yeah. I think they've been a little lax over there.
I think so,
If
too.
you remember the movie Airplane, that showed boobs.
That
was PG.
But that was pre-PG-13. That rating didn't exist. Yeah, it's really kind of a weird eye of the beholder thing. I'd love to be on the MPA ratings board. You just get to sit there and
there's
say,
a
like,
lack of consistency there. If they like you, they're going to let you get away with a little bit more.
I think that's probably, and they must really like Ryan Johnson. They probably love this movie because, again, it's a crowd pleaser. So there you go, folks. One to watch over the holidays. Bring your family, at least, most of them. Don't bring your 5-year-old, but actually, if it's Bert, yeah, bring him.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Okay. We'll be back. We're going to talk about another big movie. Big.
Long.
After this. All right, it's front row center, and I'm talking like this for a reason. I'm kind of talking like a maybe have got a little crime syndicate. This is the crime syndicate review show. We're gonna talk about Louis Fingers and Lefty. Okay, I'm done with that. So anyway, this is the week that we take after. The triumphant return in some ways. Not that Scorsese's been away because he did a film called Silence, did you see Silence?
No, I hadn't even heard of it. Oh, wait a minute. I have heard of it. But yeah, no.
Adam Driver, Liam Neeson. Oh my God. It's really long. It's not a bad movie. I tell you, when it's over, you just feel horrible. It is the slow torture.
It's got great reviews.
Of Christian.
Oh, yes.
The slow torture of Christian missionaries in Japan. That's all it is. How much can they endure? Adam Driver, of course, is wonderful in the thing. But, man, I loved it, and if I never see it again, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, I have a lot of movies like that are great, but you don't want to watch again.
I have no desire to watch Silence again. But it was definitely an achievement.
There's some movies that you watch and that aren't great and you don't want to see again, like The Souvenir.
I'm getting more and more excited to watch The Souvenir. You're getting me have
at it.
All right. So, no, this week we're going to talk about, I guess we want to talk about Triumphant Return. The biggest return to the screen would be Joe Pesci, who we have not seen in a long time. And I'm glad he made this movie because you'd hate to think that an actor of his caliber, the capper of his career would have been like The Super and 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag.
Yeah, he did that movie they were in a boat or something.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was. Gone Fishing, 1997.
Was that his last prior to this?
Well, 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag was the same year. And,
okay.
Actually, it looks like he appeared Lethal Weapon 4 in 1998.
Wow, but that's a long way away, but he's just, I suppose, enjoying his life and his money, and it's tough to be the guy who
just when you thought he was done, they pulled him back in.
That's about right. So this is The Irishman, a film that's gotten all kinds of press, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It debuted. Well, it actually did have a theatrical run, very small window. I think just mostly on the coasts and maybe in Chicago, and it did play Milwaukee. Actually, it did. I think it did 1 week over at the Oriental. I wonder if they had an intermission because this movie could have used one. But
3 hours and 29 minutes.
Absolutely, and
I had an intermission during it.
I had a few. But anyway, Bert's going to tell you all about what The Irishman is all about.
Well, here you go. It's Martin Scorsese's The Irishman, and it's a mob hitman played by Robert De Niro. He plays Frank Sheeran, who was a real life person. It's basically Frank Sheeran's story and the story of Jimmy Hoffa.
Just kind of wandered into that lifestyle. It was like,
Yeah,
it
he
was,
was-
just like, okay. I mean, it wasn't like a life choice. It just sort of slowly,
I mean, that's pretty much it, basically. It's the story of Frank Sheeran, from Frank Sheeran's point of view, of how he met Jimmy Hoffa, became good friends with him, became a hitman for him, and ultimately, in his words, how he killed Jimmy Hoffa. We can just say it.
Yeah, there's not really a spoiler there.
To this day, we don't know who killed Jimmy Hoffa.
We don't even know if he was telling the truth. This is basically,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, that's hard to say.
There's a couple versions out there from hitmen who laid claim to getting rid of Mr. Hoffa. Frank Sheeran is one of them, and he certainly had the possibility of doing it because he was great friends with him,
close enough to him. Yeah.
Yep, and there's no loyalty in the mob, so
It's a tough.
he was a good friend. He could have killed him. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Here's a clip. This is a clip where get to hear a little. It's a meeting between Hoffa and one thing Jimmy Hoffa likes. He likes you to be on time.
Can you believe this weather, Frank? Huh? It's 85 degrees outside. Perfect.
Hey, Tony Jake.
Good Jimmy. People freezing to death in New York, and look at us.
Huh? Hey.
Why we don't live here all year round is what I want to know. Beautiful.
It's summer.
What?
It's summer. People aren't freezing to death in New York. It's summer.
In my mind, it's always 8 degrees in New York. I'm making a point.
Making a point. Making a point dressing like that? Is how you dress for a meeting?
And this is how you dress in Florida? In a suit?
For a meeting? Anywhere. Florida, Timbuktu, I dress in a suit. For a meeting. And you're late.
What?
You're late.
And it was traffic.
Yeah, it's traffic.
Wasn't it traffic?
You give me
It's
traffic.
traffic. What do you want from us? It was bumper to bumper.
Yeah, no, it's bad,
Traffic. I never waited for anyone who was late more than 10 minutes in my life.
He does not like people to be late.
No, he does not.
So, doesn't like alcohol either. Drinks a lot of ginger ale in this movie.
I do like that there was a funny scene there where they knew they were meeting Jimmy and they couldn't drink around him, so they knew he didn't like watermelon, so they stuck a bottle of
big
vodka.
bottle of vodka. Just slammed it right into that watermelon's navel. Just boom.
That's what they call watermelon wine.
And he's just like, you guys really like watermelon. Oh man, the Irishman. Oh God, I love this movie.
Yeah, it was great.
I just loved everything about this.
We're not in disagreement again.
Oh man, I kept trying to.
Find a flaw.
A film this. These are people who've been making movies for so long together. Clearly, they must just have a shorthand on how to make movies. Scorsese's using his same editor who we worked with since Mean Streets, and not only was this just a great traditional, normal, what you'd expect out of a Scorsese gangland movie. It just in some ways is for me, and maybe it's because I'm a little older, I guess. I thought it was even better than some of the ones I love because it's a quieter film. It's not so flashy. I love the little flashes of violence because
it's not as violent. You see Goodfellas and Casino. There's just some relentless violence.
Bloodbath. Yeah,
this movie did not have that.
It didn't have.
Or maybe
that.
It was spread out so much because of the running time.
Yeah, absolutely. But even the way that they showed the violence, in that it's so fast, it just kind of happens. There isn't a big musical if you watch Casino, he's got the Rolling Stones blasting while someone's getting hammered with a baseball bat in the desert or something, and in this, it's just boom, boom.
Very quick.
It's just quick and done.
In Umberto's House of Clams, where they got Joey Gallo. He was
it's so fast.
It's so fast. Just boom, boom, boom.
Efficient.
Yes.
And I think that's what made Mr. Sheeran, Frank Sheeran, such an interesting character is that he was, I don't
very
think
laid back and calm and cool. And
he reminded me of my barber who passed away about 5 years ago, who was just the most
your barber was in the mob.
Could be. I don't know. Hey, I didn't lose any ears or anything like that in the chair, which is good. But he's just this kind of soft spoken. Frank, by and large, at least the way De Niro played him. he's kind of a peacemaker. He seemed to want everyone to wanted it all to work.
Let's all get along.
Let's just get along. And yet he knew, and this is the part of this movie that I started laughing about because I just loved it, is once the conversation starts turning towards, he's a little upset. Yeah, and things aren't working out so good. No one can actually say what's going to happen. When they start talking like, there's that thing, and we got to do that thing with the thing, and nobody can actually say we're about to kill someone. No, nobody says it. It's always like
it's just the way it is.
It's just the way. I think that's an exact line. It's just the way it is. Things are going to happen, and that's just the way it is. Joe Pesci, I loved his performance because it wasn't traditional Joe Pesci. He wasn't screaming and yelling and being. He was a very, but I mean, he's cold. He's a cold guy. In fact, okay, now
he's all business too.
He's all business. He was absolutely all business.
He wasn't cussing and swearing and screaming and
just. His brother Ray Romano was unrecognizable. I didn't even know it was him until afterwards. I thought, oh wow, Everybody Loves Raymond is a mob, basically a mob lawyer. But who is interesting. And this has actually gotten some press in the wrong way because people who are complaining about this, I think, are missing the point of the movie. But Anna Paquin is in this movie.
She had what, 3 lines in the movie,
if that. But you know what? Her silence spoke volumes.
Well, that was her character.
And that was her character. And she was like the only kind of, if you want to say there's like a good person in this movie. Because the argument can also be said, it can be had, that Jimmy Hoffa, as portrayed in this film, at least early on, wasn't a terrible guy. He actually seemed to care about the American worker. And, but unfortunately he had an ego. And he kept, one of his big lines is, "This is my union. This is my union. This is mine." And so she as far as you can tell, I think preferred Hoffa over her own father.
She did.
I mean, very much so.
And then when Hoffa disappeared, she was not happy with her father.
She was not at all, and
didn't speak with him the rest of the film.
The rest of the life, as far as you can tell.
Which is why she was silent in the movie. You dummies.
Right. I know it's weird. They're just like, this is women being pushed in the background. No, not at all. She.
For the record, Anna Paquin has shouted back at all those idiots who say she doesn't have enough lines.
Good. Yeah. Well, yeah. And Scorsese too came out and said, "What are you talking about? I talk about missing the entire point of my movie. So,
I mean, would they have cared if it was a lesser known actress playing the part? Or,
yeah.
I mean,
they didn't complain about the little girl because when we see that particular character,
she barely talks too.
She is also very silent, and she has no patience for Joe Pesci. Russ, I think Russell was his name. When he's like, "Hey, you want some candy? You want some candy? You want get some ice skates for Christmas?" And she's just like, "Thank you."
She already said thank you.
Yeah,
she already said thank you.
Exactly.
Once is enough.
My God, the recreation of time period and set design, and I love Scorsese has these phenomenal shots again, just on the technical side of things, where you have just these overhead shots of like highways and
cars
old
and
billboards and restaurants. I mean, just everything you would and. Having been born in 1970, I have some memory of pieces of that, leftovers of that time period, and it just looked right. It looked accurate. It looked true. And I have to admit, I've watched this 1.5 times now because my wife hadn't seen it. I started watching. I'm telling you, it's actually even better the second time around. I actually was having even more fun with it the second time around. It's what could someone charge about it? Is it too long? Yeah, I guess. But
if there's any complaint, that would be it. It's 3.5 hours. But I enjoyed seeing these people back together again.
Absolutely.
And we haven't seen them in a while, so throw them out there as much as we can because this is probably it for them.
I guess I guess the elephant in the room a little bit too is the CGI they used to de-age some of the characters. Here's my take on that because a lot of people are talking about that. It's working for some people. For some people, it's not working so well. I'll tell you this much: it did not distract me.
No, it worked. There was the first time I saw it was when they were together by that gas station.
Yeah.
And the mouths were a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But other than that, I got used to it almost right away. So.
Oh wow, nice. Hey, my daughter's here.
Yeah, I see her out the window.
I have to. I kind of have to let her into the library, but that's okay because we got our review in, and here we go. Is this my first? I don't know if it's my first. I'm giving this baby 4 stars. I love this thing.
I was going to say 3.5.
We're always a half star off, and I'm always more generous.
I think so.
I think we're starting to figure out how this works. So, anyway, let's go to a commercial, and when we come back, we're going to start the beginning of what we like to call the
throwdown?
Is that what I called it? I called
think
it
you
something. I think it was, cinema throwdown, much like
Gift exchange?
much like gift. It's not that. You should see the gift I have for you.
Oh, Christ.
We'll be back. Front Row Center on CPL Radio. We're back from commercial. I hope you enjoyed those commercials. More than likely, it was for Home Depot or Lowe's, one of the two. We seem to advertise a lot on this.
They were
network.
fantastic.
And, you know, I suppose I'd give the commercials 4 stars, and you'd give them 3.5.
I was going to say 3.5, yeah, but I'm going. I'm going to Lowe's.
All right.
They've sold me.
All right. So, this is a new segment on our show where, and we've kind of actually, Bert and I have kind of done something like this in the past, especially we kind of rate each other's collections every now and then. We are, as we've mentioned on the show, both pretty passionate collectors of physical media and will remain so for the foreseeable future, streaming be damned. So, yeah.
How many movies do you have in your collection, roughly?
Okay, I'm glad you said roughly. So I have to say I'm definitely over the 2,000 mark, but not much over the 2,000 mark. So
We're talking about 2030?
Probably in that area there, yeah. I would say, but even that, like I know I just crossed the 2,000 mark during the summer, and I haven't added much since then. So I'm probably stalled around like 2006 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I'm very pleased with it right now. I will say, you know, I used to always kind of be like, oh, I need more, because that's always part of the disease that is physical media collecting. And I will say that I look upon my collection now, and I'm like, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with what I got right now. There's always more that you need. I mean, you'll never that itch will never fully be scratched. But for the first time in my life, I was always dissatisfied with my collection. You know, back in the VHS days and everything, I was just like, not quite. Nope, not quite there yet. But
I'm pretty satisfied with
I'm pretty happy.
My 4,500.
In your 45. Yeah, you've always been about double me. I mean, back when I had 600, you had 1,500. Back when I had 1,500, you had 3,000. I mean, you've always been. So it's reversed. Like I'm more generous with my stars, but you're larger with your collection. So, and that's fine. And I get you.
And I'm watching them.
And yeah. You know, actually, I do. I put a fair amount of discs in and watch stuff. And yeah. So this is a segment we're gonna call Cinema Throwdown. We have to get some kind of little
I like
clip.
Throwdown.
Yeah, we'll
Cinema
call it
Throwdown
Cinema
sounds
Throwdown. Much like if you're playing poker and finally you get to that point where everyone says call, you know, or knock or whatever it is. Boom, you throw down your cards. So
basically, we're going to give each other a film to watch, and then we'll talk about it.
And then we'll talk about it
next
next week and hopefully argue about it because again, we've been getting along far too well on the show. So
I'm not sure you're going to refer to my movie as cinema.
SIN cinema probably. I know you. And yeah, I got an interesting one for you. So
You can go first. Go ahead.
No, I think we both throw it on at the same time, and then we can you know,
Okay.
okay. So on 3, and you'll hear the clatter. 1, 2, 3. So,
All right, this one comes from the library.
Yes, it does.
Mine comes from my personal library. Okay. Mine is called Good Morning.
Yes.
Which I've never heard of before. 1959.
Yep.
This is a Blu-ray.
Yes, it is.
Is this a cartoon?
Nope. It's just
Japanese?
Yes.
Do I have to read this movie?
I think you should.
Okay. Subtitles, English subtitles.
Yep.
What's the 94 minutes? Okay.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. Let's see. A lighthearted take on a director, perennial theme. Ozu weaves about. Tell me real quick.
It's basically about a couple of kids who are desperate to have a television because they have to go to their friends' houses to watch sumo wrestling matches, and they stage, how shall we say, a bit of a revolt on their parents, so they'll finally buy them a television. And I think I'll leave the rest to you because you'll especially love, I think, how they choose to communicate with each other. Because they've kind of taken kind of a vow of silence.
Well, that's good because I don't speak Japanese. So if they're
no, there's plenty of Japanese, and this film is made in a weird sort of way. It's a different kind of filmmaking. It's a very kind of low key, quiet thing, but I think you will find it strangely enjoyable. It's not. I'm a big fan of Yasujiro Ozu's work, and he's one of my favorite filmmakers. And yeah, I just any opportunity to talk about Ozu, so I'm taking this, and we'll start you from there.
all right. So I've got a quality film here. Is what
I
you're
have got
saying.
something here, ladies and gentlemen. This is this X?
No.
Okay, good, because I don't want to do anything hardcore here. This is a movie
1982.
from 1982.
What's it
I'm going to
called?
read the description first. Is this a homemade box?
Yes, it's
Oh,
not available
fantastic.
on DVD,
Not
so I have the
available.
VHS. I burned a copy. My wife made some lovely cover art,
Fine cover art. Yeah, wow, that's
which is
that's
basically what the box looks
just
like.
some naughty cover art. Clearly, I'll be watching this once the family goes to bed. So let me read the description before I tell you the title.
There's a reason I chose this one too.
Freddy's got the perfect gift for Melody's birthday. He just doesn't know how to rap it. This is kind of like this SNL skit Dick in a Box, isn't it? I don't know. Freddy is a 20-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed sophomore at UCLA who has a problem. His beautiful 17-year-old girlfriend. Oh, I'm glad she's turning 18 at least. Holy cow, because we have some state statutes here. His beautiful 17-year-old girlfriend wants a special birthday present for her 18th birthday. She hopes to celebrate the special event in bed. I'm assuming she's not like an invalid or something.
No, she wants to lose her virginity.
I
as
see.
recall.
Freddie must get up the courage to do it. So this movie is entitled Let's Do It. And it's with an exclamation point. So I said it the right way. Let's do it. I have to walk around the library with this.
Don't lose that. That's probably the only DVD that exists for that movie.
You couldn't recreate this?
I suppose I could, but I don't want to.
All right,
That's one of my
folks.
prized possessions.
Is there a reason why you chose this particular one first?
There is, and the reason is,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes we're movie snobs that we're watching all these quality films
Sure.
and everything, but we both know our roots, and our roots are
roots are
embedded in
schlock.
schlock.
That's true.
Horror movies, B movies, low grade crap. Now we did watch a lot of these types of movies in the '80s. Your My Tutor, Joysticks, all of these,
teen sex comedies.
teen
is what
sex
they were.
comedy.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
exactly what this movie is. However, it's one that I know you haven't seen.
I have not seen,
and
no.
virtually nobody has seen this one. It never showed up on cable. It only came. Remember Vid Video and Two Rivers?
I remember Vid, yeah.
That's where I rented this movie, and that's how it came into existence. And I taped it years ago, and I didn't really watch it, but I watched it earlier this year when I burned the DVD of it, and I reviewed it on my channel. And I loved it. And
Really?
I loved it. Well, in a certain way.
I understand.
I mean, it's not a good movie, and there's actually a couple of disturbing scenes you'll see where kind of sexist, very, very sexist scenes in here. With I think Monique Gabrielle is the actress, but this is a movie that I want to have some shared experiences with it, and you're my only hope.
You're like, so you're kind of a lonely Let's Do It fan,
Yes.
and you want someone to
Yes.
all right. So
In fact, if you want to bring it over next weekend before our show, we'll watch it together.
no,
I will watch it again.
I kind of feel like I should watch this alone, actually.
Well, that sounds pervy. Believe me, there's plenty of pervy in there too.
It was intended to be. All right, folks. Well, now you have to tune in next week because you've got to know our reaction. Certainly, I think you'll be amused. There's something in there that I think you're going to find very funny. I don't know if you're going to love this film because it's a very, very, shall we say, evenly paced. It's a slow movie.
It's got good reviews,
but it has just an element to it that's very funny, and I think you will find it. And the way they do it is very funny. So, all right, it's Good Morning versus Let's Do It here on Cinema Throwdown. Who would have thought that Yasujiro Ozu, the great Japanese master, would be faced with Let's Do It with Freddie and Melody?
Yes, the great
All right,
Burt Gordon
folks.
directed this thing.
Oh, Burt I. Gordon?
Burt I.
Oh,
Gordon.
now I'm interested. It's Mr. Big, B.I.G. He did Village of the Giants and
Empire of the Ants, Food of the Gods.
I like his stuff. All
Well,
right,
there you go.
Okay, I'm in. All right, real good. Now you're singing my song. Okay, well, hey, let's recap. Lives Out, 3.5 stars from me, 3 stars from Bert. We're looking at The Irishman with 4 stars. One of the, I think is one of someone I actually had the exchange with my friend Dane, who I said.
The Ace.
The Ace.
I haven't seen the Ace in years.
Yeah, I just
Is he
saw-
listening?
Yeah, I think he may have tuned in once or twice.
Well, hello, the Ace.
And we didn't get to our question of the week, the R-rated thing. We'll try to get to that next week, and I'll pose another question, and hopefully we'll have time for it.
I don't even remember the question.
It was your first R-rated movie in the theater at what age?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll get to that next week. So sorry about that, folks. I know I mentioned I was going to get you on the air. Didn't happen. So sorry. Anyway, and so next week we will be doing. I don't know yet. I didn't have a chance to do a breakdown of what streaming titles we'll do. I think we're probably going to at least
Marriage
do
Story.
the Marriage Story. So we'll have that going.
Oh, I have a. Oh, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. All right, very good. So next week, the first official bit of Cinema Throwdown Showdown. You'll hear us discussing our 2 movies, plus A Marriage Story, plus a few other streaming titles. I think we might up it to 3 since we're streaming and not going to the theater. I think we could do 3 titles, and we'll cram it into an hour. All right, I'm out of breath. I'm out of steam. Yeah. I am. That was a busy show, It was a very busy show. This has been Front Row Center. We're on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. on CPL Radio, but I'm sure most of you listening to us in a more...
And you're going to get season 1 up on that thing, right?
Episode
1 of season 1?
Yeah, that's
get it up there.
It hasn't been transferred over yet.
Transfer that.
I'll transfer it. Oh, boy, everyone's a pest. Anyway, it's been fun, folks. Movies, it's what all about. It's what it's all about, and it's what we talk about here on Front Row Center. Till next week, let's do it. Oh, boy.
Good morning.